The strange sound. The market on the alien world was always filled with noise, sellers shouting, machines humming, strange animals crying. But today a new sound broke through all of it, sharp, loud, and full of power. People froze, their long ears twitching, their eyes wide. Mothers pulled children close. Elders frowned and whispered. The sound was unlike anything they had ever known. It came from a corner where a human traveler had set up. His strange black box stood tall, and his hands moved across an instrument with shining strings. A wave of sound crashed through the air, heavy and fast. The alien girl, Lyra, stood near a fruit stall when she first heard it. The blast of noise almost knocked her back. Her delicate ears ached. She pressed her hands against the sides of her head, her heart racing. "What is that? It will tear us apart," someone cried. Merchants covered their stalls as if the sound itself was a storm. Lyra should have run. Everyone else stepped away, but her feet did not move. Her breath came quick. She hated the pain in her ears, but at the same time, something deep inside. Her chest pulled her closer. The human's head moved with the rhythm, his hair shaking, his face glowing with strange joy. He did not notice the crowd. He only lived in the music. The ground shook with the beat. It was wild, untamed, like thunder that refused to stop. The aliens whispered that human sound was cursed, that it destroyed minds, that it melted thoughts. Lyra believed it, at least she tried to believe it, yet her eyes stayed locked on the human. Her ears burned, but her heart pounded in strange agreement with the beat. The song ended in a scream of strings. Silence fell, and the human smiled, sweat on his brow. He bowed slightly as if expecting applause. Instead, the aliens hissed, "Monster, keep that cursed noise away." One elder shouted, "This is not music. It is war against our ears." The human only shrugged. As if he had heard such words before, he packed his instrument and sat down, calm as the crowd muttered and pulled away. But not Lyra. She lingered, her mind caught between fear and curiosity. The sound still echoed in her bones. She did not understand why she wanted to hear it again. Later that day, while the market quieted, she found herself thinking of it. The pounding beat, the raw energy. She remembered how it felt like her heart had been pulled into the rhythm. Her people loved gentle songs, soft flutes, slow chants that floated like the wind. But this human sound was nothing like that. It was fire. It was storm. It was alive. At home. Her mother noticed her silence. "Lyra, are you well?" she asked. Lyra only nodded. She could not speak of the human sound. If her family knew she wanted to hear it again, they would forbid her, maybe even punish her. Night came, stars filling the sky. But still the sound would not leave her thoughts. She lay awake, her ears twitching as if remembering the pain, her chest beating as if missing the rhythm. She whispered to herself, "Why did it feel so strong? Why did it not destroy me?" The next day, she returned to the market. She told herself it was only for fruit, only for work. But deep inside she hoped the human would be there again. And he was, sitting by his black box, adjusting the strange instrument. A small group of aliens glared at him, but he smiled, as if their anger was nothing. Lyra hid behind a stall. Her heart racing, she told herself she would only watch for a moment. Only listen once, but she knew that was a lie. The human's hands touched the strings, and once again the world shook with heavy sound. This time, Lyra did not cover her ears. Yes, it hurt, but less than before. Instead, she let the beat run through. Her feet tapped before she could stop them. Her chest moved with the rhythm. The others shouted again, "Silence this madness, we cannot bear it." But Lyra's lips curved into something new, a smile, small and secret, hidden from her people. The human's eyes lifted for a moment, scanning the crowd, and they landed on her. She froze, breath caught, but he only gave a quick nod as if he knew she was not like the others. Fear rushed through her, but so did excitement. Her people said human sound was dangerous, but what if they were wrong? What if there was something more? As the song ended, the crowd scattered once more, elders muttering about curses and danger, but Lyra stayed behind, her eyes never leaving the human musician. Her heart whispered one truth she could not deny. This strange sound had not destroyed her. It had awakened her, and she wanted more. The night air was cool, the twin moons shining above the alien city. Most people had gone home, shutting their doors tight, still afraid of the strange human noise, but Lyra could not sleep. Her mind kept replaying the thunder sound, each beat echoing inside her chest. She whispered to herself, "I will only look once, then return home." But even she knew it was a lie. Her feet carried her toward the humans' camp outside the market. A small fire flickered in the darkness, and there he sat, tuning the strange stringed weapon of sound. Lyra's ears twitched nervously. She pressed herself against a wall, half hidden in the shadows. Her heart pounded as she watched him strike the strings softly. A low hum rolled through the night, not as wild as before, but powerful enough to make the air vibrate. The sound should have hurt her, yet it didn't. Instead, it wrapped around her like heat from the fire. It felt alive, dangerous, but also safe in a strange way. The human looked relaxed, his eyes half closed, as if the sound was not only for others, but also for himself. He tapped his foot, moved his head. His whole body swayed with rhythm. Lyra took a step closer, then another. Her ears twitched but did not burn. She realized that the first blast in the market had been too sudden, too strong. But here, softer, slower, the rhythm was almost sweet. She whispered, "This cannot be poison. This cannot be a curse." The human's head turned suddenly. His eyes caught hers. She gasped and almost ran, but his face broke into a gentle smile. He raised a hand slowly, not to scare her, just to show she was welcome. Lyra froze. Every warning from her people rushed into her mind. Human noise will rot your mind. It will twist your thoughts. It will break your soul. But her heart pushed back. Then why does it feel like freedom? The human strummed harder. A new wave of sound filled the night, louder, heavier. Her chest shook. Her ears twitched painfully. She almost pulled back. But then something strange happened. Her heart began to beat with the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, then again 1, 2, 3. She felt her body match the sound. The pain faded, and instead she felt energy rush through her. Her feet tapped the ground. Her fingers moved without her will. Her head began to nod. She had never danced before. Her people considered dancing wild, shameful, yet her body betrayed her. It moved with the forbidden beat. She laughed suddenly, quietly. A laugh she had never heard from herself. Light, shocked, joyful. The human saw her. His smile widened. He pressed his fingers harder, and the sound roared like fire. He shouted a word she did not understand, his voice harsh but full of life. Lyra clapped her hands against her mouth, but she could not stop laughing now. The beat carried her. Her body swayed side to side. Her feet moved closer to the fire, closer to him. "You like it," the human said, his voice rough but kind. She did not know the words, but she understood his tone, his eyes, the way he offered the sound to her as if it was a gift. She nodded, her cheeks burning, her heart wild. She whispered, "Yes, I like it." Though he could not understand her language, the truth was clear in her voice. The night stretched on, the sound rising and falling, sometimes sharp like thunder, sometimes soft like rain. Her ears no longer cried in pain. Instead, they begged for more. Every beat pulled her deeper into a world she had never known. For the first time in her life, she felt alive, not just living, but burning inside. Her people's music was gentle, safe, like a soft blanket. But this was fire. It was storm. It was freedom. At last, the humans slowed. The strings quieted. The air grew. Still, only the crackle of the fire remained. Lyra stood shaking, breathless, her chest rising and falling. She felt as if she had run for miles, yet she had not moved from that spot. The human leaned his instrument against the black box. He looked at her with curious eyes, then tapped his chest and said, "Jack." She blinked, pointing at herself. "Lyra, Lyra," he repeated, his voice heavy with the human tongue, but kind. She felt a thrill run through her just hearing her name and his sound. She should have left. She should have run before anyone saw her. But her legs refused to move instead. She stood there staring at him, wishing he would play again. At last she whispered, "Tomorrow," then turned and ran into the shadows, her ears still ringing, her heart still racing as she slipped back into her home, her family already asleep. She pressed her hands against her chest, the rhythm still inside her. She smiled, wide and secret. She thought to herself, "The elders are wrong. This sound is not a curse, it is life." And deep inside, she knew tomorrow she would return again, no matter the danger, no matter the warnings, because she had tasted something her people had never known, the forbidden beat. The next morning, the city market opened as usual, but Lyra's thoughts were far away from the chatter of merchants and the sweet smell of fruits. Her heart still carried the beat of last night. It was there in her chest, thumping like a hidden drum. She told herself she would not go to the human. Again, it was too dangerous. But her eyes betrayed her, scanning the streets, looking for him. And there he was, sitting by his black box, his strange instrument shining under the sun. The crowd stayed away from him, muttering warnings. Parents pulled children by the arms. "Do not look at him. Do not hear the cursed sound." But Lyra did not turn away. Instead, she walked closer, her steps careful, her ears twitching nervously. Jack saw her, his face lit up with recognition. He gave a small wave, not too big, just enough to say, "I see you," and her stomach fluttered. She quickly looked down, pretending to study the fruit stall, but her feet carried her nearer. Jack plucked the string softly, not the wild thunder of before, but a gentle rhythm just for her. She froze, realizing he was playing to her alone. The crowd hissed louder, but Lyra's chest filled with warmth. At last, she gathered courage and whispered, "Why do you play such sounds?" Though she knew he could not understand her words, Jack tilted his head, then smiled as if he understood anyway. He strummed again, the rhythm rising and falling like a heartbeat. Her fingers itched. She wanted to touch the strange instrument, but fear held her back. What if it really poisoned her mind? What if the elders were right? Jack noticed her hesitation. He lifted the instrument slowly, held it out toward her, and nodded, inviting her to try. The crowd gasped. Some shouted, "Do not touch it, it will burn you." But Lyra's heart pounded. Her hand lifted without her will. She touched the string. It hummed under her finger. The sound was small, but it sent a shock through her, not of pain, but of wonder. She laughed nervously, pulling her hand back. But Jack encouraged her again, strumming a chord to show her. This time she pressed harder. The note rang louder, sharp, alive. The crowd hissed again, but she ignored them. Her lips curled into a secret smile. "Lyra," Jack said softly, pointing at her, then at himself. "Jack?" She nodded, their names now linked by sound. The people around them grew restless. Whispers turned into anger. One elder shouted, "She is cursed, take her away." But no one dared step closer. The human sound frightened them. Lyra felt a surge of fear, but also pride. She had done what no one else dared. She had touched the forbidden sound, and it had not destroyed her. It had awakened her. Jack leaned closer, lowered his voice, and spoke words she could not understand. But his tone was gentle, like an invitation, his eyes warm. She did not need to know the meaning. Her heart understood. She whispered, "I will come again." Though he could not hear the words clearly, the promise was there in her eyes. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Merchants argued. Children played. Elders muttered warnings. But Lyra moved through it all with her mind burning. She felt different, changed, as if a piece of the human's music had entered her soul. At home, her mother asked why she smiled so strangely, why her eyes sparkled as if she carried a secret. Lyra shook her head quickly. "Nothing, just a good day." But her chest betrayed her, the rhythm still alive inside. That night, she dreamed of fire and thunder, of Jack's fingers flying across the strings, of her own hands joining his, together making sound that shook the stars. She woke gasping, her ears tingling, her heart aching for more. The next evening she returned, this time without hesitation. Jack was waiting, as if he knew she would come. He set the instrument across his lap and tapped the ground beside him. She sat, her legs trembling. The fire burned low, shadows dancing. Jack played slowly, showing her each string, each chord. She leaned close, watching, learning, her fear fading with every note, her laughter spilling out when she made a mistake, his smile wide when she got it right. For the first time, she felt like a friend, not just a stranger watching, not just an alien girl breaking rules, but someone seen, someone welcomed. But far away, hidden in the darkness, other eyes watched too. Elders who whispered of danger, of betrayal, of punishment, their faces hard as stone. Lyra did not see them. She only heard the music. She only felt the fire inside her grow brighter. But soon she would learn that friendship with a human carried not just joy but risk. And the risk was closing in, beat by beat. The village council gathered in the great hall, its tall stone pillars glowing with pale fire. Elders sat in a circle, their robes heavy, their eyes sharp. Word of Lyra's closeness to the human had spread through every street, whispered in every home. One elder slammed his staff on the ground. The echo boomed like thunder. This cannot continue. The human's cursed sound is spreading like a disease. It has already touched one of our young. Tomorrow it may touch many more. Another nodded, his ears trembling with anger. I saw her with my own eyes. She touched the strings of the human's weapon, and she smiled. She smiled as if it gave her joy. Joy from poison, the council muttered, voices rising, fear heavy in the air. To them, human sound was chaos, something wild that threatened their order, their calm way of life. Lyra sat outside the hall, listening. Her heart tight, she knew they spoke of her. Her name passed from elder to elder, twisted into a warning. If she continues, others will follow and our people will be lost. She wanted to shout, to tell them the truth, that the music did not destroy, it awakened, but fear held her tongue. The council's judgment was law, no one could stand against it. At last, the oldest elder, his voice like dry stone, spoke. The girl must be warned. If she refuses, she must be cut off for her own sake and for ours. The others bowed their heads in agreement. The next day, as the sun rose, Lyra's mother pulled her aside, worry heavy in her eyes. Child, the council has spoken. They say you must stay away from the human. You must never hear his noise again. Lyra's chest ached. She tried to argue. But mother, it is not poison. It is not a curse. It is alive. Her mother shook her head, pressing hands over Lyra's ears as if to block out the memory. No, you do not understand. Sound like that will change you. It will twist who you are. Please, do not return to him. Tears filled Lyra's eyes. She wanted to scream the truth, but her mother's fear was real, too heavy to break. She only nodded weakly, though her heart screamed a different answer. That evening, she sat by the window, the stars above watching. Her fingers tapped the wooden frame, slow, steady, like the rhythm Jack had taught her. Her body refused to let go, even as her mind told her to obey. The council's warning spread. Children were kept inside, young ones forbidden to go near the market when the human played. Elders patrolled, watching with sharp eyes. But still the sound traveled, carried on the wind, creeping into hearts. Lyra felt it in her chest even from far away. The forbidden beat whispered to her, stronger than the warning, stronger than her fear. One night, unable to bear the silence, she slipped outside, her feet carrying her toward the glow of Jack's fire. He sat alone, strumming softly, the music drifting like smoke. Her heart leapt. Lyra, he said, his voice low, warm. She smiled through tears, sitting across from him. They say I must stay away. They say your sound will destroy me, she whispered. Though he did not know her words, he seemed to understand her pain, his eyes soft, his hand reaching out to rest gently on the instrument. He played again, not wild, not loud, but soft, steady, as if promising her safety. The sound wrapped around her like a shield. She closed her eyes, breathing it in, knowing deep inside that no warning could tear this away from her. But the shadows moved at the edge of the camp, Figures watched, cloaks hiding their faces, elders who had followed her, their eyes full of fury, their whispers like knives. This must end. Tomorrow we will act, one hissed, their voices carried on the wind. But Lyra and Jack did not hear, lost in the glow of the fire, lost in the gentle rhythm that bound them together. The council's warning had been spoken, but the true storm had yet to fall. And when it came, it would test not only Lyra's courage, but the strength of the forbidden beat itself. The village grew quieter with every passing day. Merchants still sold fruit, children still played in the dusty alleys. But beneath it all there was tension. Everyone spoke in whispers about the human and his cursed sound. The council had forbidden their people from listening, yet the memory of that strange beat lingered in young hearts. Lyra felt the weight of the warning each time she stepped outside. Eyes followed her, whispers chased her steps. That is the girl who listens to the noise, some said. Others shook their heads as if she were already lost, but inside her chest the rhythm still lived, stronger than shame, stronger than fear. One evening Jack found her waiting at the edge of the market, her eyes filled with both fear and longing. He tilted his head, a small smile playing at his lips. He tapped his instrument, then pointed to the open fields beyond the village. She hesitated, her ears twitching. Out there, she whispered, they will not see. And her heart leapt with both terror and excitement. She nodded, and together they walked away from the lights of the village, into the wide night. The field stretched beneath the twin moons, tall grass swaying like waves. Jack set down his black box, adjusted the strings, then struck the first chord. The sound rang through the open sky, louder than ever, fierce, alive. Lyra's breath caught, her ears twitched. The sting of the sound hit her, but then the rhythm wrapped around her, carrying her body into motion. She moved without thinking, her feet stamping lightly, her arms swaying, her heart pounding in perfect time with the beat. She laughed, louder than she ever had before, the sound tearing out of her as if it had been trapped for years. Jack's eyes shone. He played harder, faster, pouring his energy into the night. Other shadows moved at the edge of the field, curious young ones who had followed her, drawn by the forbidden sound. At first they watched in silence, shocked to see Lyra dancing, her face glowing with joy instead of pain. But then, something stirred inside them too. Their feet tapped, their hands clapped. One by one they stepped closer, until the small group circled around Jack, listening, swaying, some even laughing as the beat stole their bodies. It was no longer just a human playing alone, it was something new, something wild. A secret concert under the stars. The air shook with thunder. The ground seemed to pulse. The moons watched silently as young aliens forgot fear, forgot the warnings. Of the elders, they only felt the beat. They only saw freedom. Lyra's voice rose in a cheer. Not words, just sound. Jack shouted back, his rough voice mixing with the music. And for a moment, it felt like the whole universe was dancing with them. But in the distance, lights flickered, torches. The council had sent watchers. The elders' figures grew closer, their faces twisted with horror. The sight of their young ones moving with the cursed sound filled them with fury. Still none of the dancers stopped. The beat was too strong, too alive. One elder shouted, "Stop this madness, you are destroying yourselves." But the children only laughed, their voices breaking the silence of fear. Jack did not falter. He strummed harder, louder, as if challenging the night itself. Lyra's heart pounded with pride. She no longer cared who watched. She had found something real, something her people had never known. The council members stepped forward, shouting, waving their staffs, but the music drowned them. The young ones stood between Jack and the elders, their bodies moving, their voices rising in defiance. For the first time in her life, Lyra saw fear in the eyes of the council, not fear of the human, but fear of losing control. The concert burned on, fire in the air, hearts unchained, the night, filled with thunder until even the stars seemed to tremble. At last Jack slowed, the final note stretched long, fading into the grass and sky. Silence fell heavy. The young ones gasped, their chests rising and falling, their faces glowing with sweat and joy. The elders stared, their fury boiling. This cannot be allowed. Tomorrow the council will decide the fate of the human. One hissed, their voices shaking. But the young ones did not look afraid. They looked stronger, their eyes clear, their hearts changed forever by the forbidden beat. Lyra stepped forward, her chest still shaking, her voice firm though her legs trembled. "You are wrong. This sound does not destroy, it frees us." Her words carried across the field, soft but undeniable. The elders turned away, muttering, unable to answer her truth. The secret concert had ended, but its echo lived on. It had planted a seed that no warning, no fear, no counsel could erase, and deep inside, Lyra knew the fight was only beginning. The next morning, the market felt different, the air heavy, whispers moving faster than trade. Everyone spoke about what had happened in the fields. The secret concert had spread through the whole village. Every ear carried the story, some with fear, some with awe. The council gathered at the center, their staffs raised high, faces carved with fury. The oldest elder lifted his voice. Last night was not just disobedience, it was rebellion. The human has poisoned our youth. His cursed sound has stolen their minds. The crowd trembled. Parents pulled their children close. But many young ones looked down, hiding smiles, hiding the memory of rhythm still alive in their hearts. Lyra stood, near the back, her chest burning, her body still sore from dancing, but her spirit stronger than ever. She wanted to shout the truth, yet her throat tightened as the elders continued. "The human must be silenced," one elder cried, "his weapon destroyed, his presence removed. If we allow this madness, our people will fall into chaos." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Some agreed, nodding, clinging to fear, but others stayed quiet, uncertain. Lyra felt her hands clench, her heart thundering with anger. She could not stay silent, not now. She stepped forward, her voice shaking but clear. "No, you are wrong. His sound does not destroy. It brings life. It brings fire. It gives us freedom." The crowd fell into stunned silence. All eyes turned to her. Her mother cried out, "Lyra, stop, you will be punished." But she did not stop. "The music made me feel alive," she said, her voice growing stronger. "It did not break me. It woke me. It woke many of us, you fear. It because you do not understand it." The elders glared, their ears twitching with rage. One slammed his staff down. The ground shook. "You dare defy the council, you dare defend the poison, then you are no longer one of us." Before Lyra could answer, a roar of sound split the air. Jack stood at the edge of the market, his instrument in hand, his face calm but his eyes fierce. He struck the strings with fire, the heavy beat rolling like thunder into the crowd. People gasped, covering their ears, but the young ones smiled, their feet tapping, their bodies swaying. The forbidden beat returned, stronger, louder, unstoppable. The elders shouted, their voices drowned by the storm of sound. They tried to step forward, but the rhythm pushed them back. The crowd parted, torn between fear and wonder. Lyra ran to Jack's side, her chest bursting. With pride, she raised her arms, letting the rhythm flow through her. "See, it does not hurt me, it frees me," she shouted, her voice carried by the beat. Other young ones joined her, dancing, laughing, their voices rising. Together they formed a wall between Jack and the council, their hearts beating as one. The elders struck their staffs, desperate to break the moment, but nothing stopped the thunder. The more they resisted, the louder Jack played, his fingers flying across the strings, his body alive with fire. It was not just music anymore. It was war, a clash of worlds, silence against sound, fear against freedom. For the first time, the council looked shaken, their power slipping as the crowd wavered, torn between obedience and the new fire burning in their children. Lyra's voice rang out, strong now. "We will not be silent anymore. We will not live only in whispers. We will not fear the beat." Her words cut through the noise like a blade. The crowd erupted, some crying out in agreement, others clutching their ears. But none could deny the truth. Something had changed. Something could not be undone. At last, Jack struck one final chord, the sound blazing through the air, then fading into silence. The market held its breath. The elders stood frozen, their faces pale, their eyes full of rage but also doubt. "This is not the end," the oldest elder hissed. "If you continue down this path, you will tear our people apart." But Lyra stepped forward, her eyes burning with fire. "No, you are wrong. This is only the beginning." The crowd murmured, some nodding, some still afraid, but the seed had grown, the fire had spread, and no warning, no threat could put it out. The clash of worlds had begun, and the rhythm of change thundered louder than fear. The village did not return to silence after the clash. The elders met in secret, their voices full of anger but their eyes heavy with fear. The young ones whispered louder than ever, their hearts still burning with the beat. Even the air seemed different, carrying echoes of thunder that could not be erased. Lyra felt it everywhere, in her steps, in her breath, in the way she saw the world. She no longer walked with her head low. She carried herself taller, her eyes clear, her chest alive with rhythm. Jack stayed at the edge of the village, his fire glowing each night, his instrument resting beside him. And every evening, one by one, young ones came, first in secret, then in small groups, then in crowds drawn to the forbidden sound. They sat around him wide-eyed, their ears twitching nervously. But when the first note rang, their fear melted into wonder. Jack played, sometimes soft like falling rain, sometimes fierce like crashing storms, and the aliens learned to let the sound carry them. Lyra became his closest student, her hands trembling as she touched the strings. Jack guided her gently, showing her how to press, how to strum, how to feel the beat instead of fearing it. She laughed at her mistakes. She cried at her triumphs, her soul finding voice through sound. One night she played alone, her fingers clumsy but brave. The young ones clapped, their voices cheering. Jack's eyes shone with pride, and for the first time she believed she was not just a listener, but a creator. The elders could no longer ignore what was happening. They gathered at the council, hall, their staffs striking hard, their voices trembling with fury. "The youth are lost. They disobey. They dance, they laugh at us. This human has broken our world." But one elder, younger than the rest, spoke softly. "Or perhaps he has given them a new one." Silence followed, heavy, sharp. The others glared, but doubt flickered in their eyes. That same evening, the council stormed into the fields, determined to end the gatherings once and for all. They found the fire, the crowd of young ones, Jack with his instrument, and Lyra standing proudly beside him. "Enough," the oldest elder roared. "This poison ends tonight. No more sound, no more rebellion. You will choose your people or the human." The young ones froze, fear rising, the weight of centuries pressing down on them. But then Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "I choose both. I choose my people, and I choose the music because it is part of me now." Jack struck a chord, the sound raw, pure. The beat rolled through the field. The young ones answered, stomping their feet, clapping their hands, their voices rising together. A living rhythm, a new rhythm. The elders tried to shout over it, but their words drowned. They raised their staffs, but the beat shook their arms, their power slipping. The youth stood tall, their faces glowing with fire. It was not just defiance, it was transformation. The clash had already ended, the new rhythm had won. Lyra lifted her voice, singing, not words, just sound, pure and strong. The others joined, their voices blending with the thunder of the instrument. Together they created something the elders could not stop, a music that belonged to them. At last, the oldest elder dropped his staff, his shoulders heavy, his eyes tired. Perhaps it is not poison," he whispered. The others stared in shock, but they too could feel it, the rhythm pulsing inside, not breaking, but binding. The night stretched on, the stars above burning bright. Jack played until his fingers shook. Lyra stood beside him, her hands learning, her heart soaring. The young ones danced, laughed, and sang, and even the elders could no longer deny the truth. Hard rock had not destroyed them. It had freed them. It had given them a voice. It had given them courage. When the last note faded, silence returned. But it was not the old silence of fear. It was the silence of something new, something waiting to grow. Jack rose, placing his instrument in Lyra's hands, his eyes gentle, his voice soft. "Yours," he said. She gasped, clutching it to her chest, her heart trembling with both fear and joy. From that night on, Lyra became the first of her kind to play, the first to carry the forbidden beat into her people's future, and every note she struck reminded her of the moment she thought it would destroy her ears, but instead, it opened her soul. The new rhythm had begun, and it would never be silenced again.